Hey guys, what's up? It's N-Dimensional, and I hope you guys are ready for today. We're going to be diving into all the information that we know about these ESS reserve key sites that just dropped today. So that's exciting. However, the sites, it's a little complicated and not in a good way. Let's get into it, shall we? So, the long short of it is that these sites kind of are bugged at the moment. But what we were able to figure out is a lot of good, useful information which will help us in the future. So the first things to know is that these are level 2 data sites. So whatever your scanning ability is, you will be able to scan these down. You don't need a special ship. You don't need anything like that. Basic probe launcher, basic probes should be able to do the job. Obviously, you can make it a lot more easier if you do have better scanning skills and or ships to do so, but by no means do you need it. So we get a level 2 data site. They also only spawn in low sec, so make sure that you are flying around in low sec if you are looking specifically for these sites. As for what the sites are themselves, we are actually in one right now, at least the first room. You warp into the site, and we can actually show you what that looks like here. And while we're warping out and onto the site, let's go ahead and talk about what you can expect to see in the site. They are data sites, so you will need 2 data analyzers. And let's actually jump into what's actually pretty special about these sites, is that they allow 3 people to enter the site, max capped at 3. And you will also need, for sure, 2 ships to be able to simultaneously hack containers. And we'll go into that just a little bit when we actually get back into that first area of the site. So let's go ahead and warp on to the site. Here, we're going to warp at 0.
Warp drive active.
We get a little blurb that's actually decently important to read if you don't know what you're doing. It says, despite heavy security, it may be possible to progress through the security lockouts of this facility by using a data analyzer. That gives us the clue that we do need a data, not a relic analyzer. Also, the fact that it is a data site helps with that. We're going to need at least 2 ships equipped with data analyzers. The ship's access limit restricts access to 3 ships in total. So that's just kind of telling you what I let you know there. Anyways, once we warp onto the site, we warp here. If you notice, this isn't actually 0 on the celestial warp gate. We're actually 20 kilometers away from it. So when you land, you do not land right where you can warp away again. And because we're in low sec, this means it is an extremely dangerous place to be. I've already been killed multiple times here. Luckily, it was just in like a little ibis because we were doing a little bit of training. But people will camp these. And in fact, you should camp these. That's kind of the best thing that you can do with these sites right now, is camp the outside of the gates here and try and take on any people that maybe are not fully aware about what's going on or how to run these sites. You can catch them off guard, get a couple good kills there, probably pick up a good chunk of change and make your money that way. But anyways, back to the actual site. Once you go ahead and warp in, you will be sent to the first room of this site. Note that this acceleration gate takes all ship types except for capital ship. You can put T1 cruisers, you can put destroyers, you can put T3Cs in, you can put marauders in, you can put orcas, you can put rorquals, anything that's not a capital listed here. Groups not allowed are capsule, dreadnought, supercarrier, titan, freighter, and carrier. Anyways, once you land onto the site, you are greeted with the first room. If you'll notice, there are 2 linked gate control data cores that need to be hacked. However, right now you can see that it looks like there is nothing inside these cans. It looks like they have been looted. Also, if you take a closer look at them, you can see that they have this red outline, a red glow to them, indicating that they have already been hacked or, finished off. This is where the actual bug comes into play. What is supposed to happen is that when you fail doing this, it is supposed to reset both of these cans so that you may try it again. However, it is not doing that. I have been told by CCP that it will eventually reset, However, I have been sitting in this site for multiple hours and have not seen that occur. So it's pretty safe to say that that is not going to be happening. However, there is a saving grace here, and that is that we have been confirmed that it will be fixed by tomorrow. So we can hope that it gets fixed by tomorrow. But anyways, you can also notice that on this site you see these rings of white. And what those are actually these proximity mines. I think they actually look pretty cool when you look at them up close. And there is a aura of red around them. Again, this doesn't exactly look great. It could have been done a lot better. Something that you'll notice about these sites as we keep talking about them is that basically everywhere you look or everywhere you turn, there's kind of something wrong with them. I personally think right now they are horrendously implemented, and hopefully things get better, but this is what we're working with currently. Anyways, what these mines do is, as you can see, there is a white ring around them, and this indicates that specific mine's radius of explosion. So if you cross this border zone, and it is in a sphere, so if you do it from the top as well, it will trigger. Once you cross that border zone, you will take a undefined amount of damage. What do I mean by undefined? Well, if we look at it, if we look at a kill mail, we can see we have taken no damage. It gives us no information about that damage. When we actually took that damage, it showed nothing in the logs. We can't really find anything about how much actual damage it does. That said, based on kind of like some exterior research, we believe, and again, this could be wrong, but currently we believe it is 4,000 Omni damage. Take that at your own risk, but if you're willing to risk your ship to see if it is that, best of luck to you. About 4,000 damage, Omni damage. Next up is the gate to the administration sector. So this is actually what we are trying to unlock by hacking these containers. And something I should say is that these containers, both of them, the left and right side, do need to be hacked at the same time, or rather within 15 seconds of each other finishing off. So this is where you need two hackers that are in communication with each other to be able to basically hit the buttons at the same time and unlock this next passage. As I understand it, when you do that, you have 2 minutes that this gate is unlocked that you can enter the next room. Again, because these sites are currently bugged, I wasn't able to directly test this. And this is where we're going to start moving into kind of theoreticals and what we should maybe think about preparing for in the future when we can actually do the rest of this site. So when we go to this gate, right now, if we go to it, it says that it tries to like activate, it tries to change your session, but literally there's no error message, nothing happens. It's locked, but there's no message telling you that it is locked. Again, this is confirmed by some CCP employees that were talking with me earlier today. So it should eventually have an error message, kind of letting you know what's going on. But right now, it's very confusing, obtuse, esoteric, and you just don't really know what's going on unless you like have a real good grasp about this first room. Anyways, on to the second room. What does it contain, and what do we think it contains? So we believe that it will take its 2 combat waves. The first combat wave, you can actually see what it is through your D-scan. So it's about 20 or so frigates, about 8 cruisers, and 3 battleships. And we believe there's a second wave. It's probably similar to that wave. So you're going to be looking at a nice range, kind of like battleships, cruisers, and frigates that you need to be taking care of. As for what these ships are, as far as their resist and damage, they're all going to be the Concord ship, so the Pacifier, Enforcer, and Marshal, which means they're all going to have Omni resist, so it doesn't matter what kind of damage you're doing. However, their damage is primarily explosive and a little bit of kinetic for the frigates and cruisers, and then the battleship is 100% kinetic. So because the cruiser and frigates are mostly explosive and a little kinetic, and the battleships all kinetic, it's going to be a decent mix of both kinetic and explosive. But they're not going to be doing any thermal damage or any EM damage, which means we probably want to be taking this site on in a shield ship fit. So we need 2 ships that can hack at the same time and 3 combat capable ships. If we look over at the Killboard for the day, we will notice some interesting things. There is a lot of kind of chaff in the wheat, or however you want to say that. There's a lot of small ships exploding to these proximity mines that we're seeing. However, some more interesting things that we're seeing is Lokis. So 2 Lokis here getting exploded by the SEC security cruisers and frigates. And we are seeing a Paladin. This is kind of probably the most interesting one. A 3.7 billion ISK Paladin has died to this site. Whether that was from kind of very foolish pilot error, I can't exactly tell you or say. It looks like a decently fit Paladin, but it kind of got chump changed. So we're seeing Marauders getting killed. We're seeing multiple groups of Lokis or T3Cs getting killed. Here's another group of a Loki and a Drekavac, Vedmak. That's what I mean, a Vedmak. There's another Succubus getting killed. So the people that have managed to get past the first room and gotten into the second room for combat have not exactly had the easiest of time. It's been kind of led to believe that some people have successfully completed the entire site and gotten their reward, which is a key, which we'll talk about now, I guess. But it's not confirmed at all. We haven't found any on contract, and you can't also sell them on, or you cannot sell them on the marketplace. So they would have to be from contract, or those individuals are keeping them for themselves. But what you actually get when you do complete this site is going to be a ESS TAC direction, one of 8 directions, and then 45 or 15-minute reserve security key. And what these keys are good for is you can go to the ESSs in those nullsec areas, and the 15-minute key will get you basically 15 minutes of ticks to steal from. And keep in mind that these ticks are a total amount that is split between however many people are there. So for instance, if it gives you in total, so we believe that the 15-minute key is going to give you about 1.5 billion ISK for that period. Or another way to think of that is 100 million ISK a minute. So if you had one person there, that person would get 100 million ISK a minute. If you had 10 people there, everyone would get 10 million ISK a minute. And then the 45-minute key gives you approximately 3.5 billion ISK out of the ESS. Again, these are estimate numbers because we don't really have a good idea. It was lower on Sissy, but they have since changed it since it went to live Tranquility. So we'll have to actually start running those to get a perfect idea about what the amounts are, but it is approximately 1.5 billion ISK and 3.5 billion ISK for the 15 and 45 minute respectively. And then as for the direction, this determines which areas of or which regions of space these keys will work in. And that's kind of about it. Other than that, I will say that you can see these shipped on D-Scan, which means that if you are searching specifically for these sites, it would be very handy for you to have your D-Scan up, and instead of necessarily scanning down all of the cosmic signatures, you can just see if there are any ships that kind of give you an idea that one of the cosmic signatures is one of these ESS sites. I'm not 100% sure that these ships are spawned before you scan it. So it is a possibility that like the ships spawn when you warp to it at first or when you scan it first, but we just don't have an idea because right now these sites are no longer despawning. So we don't see any like fresh ones. We see what has already been there since essentially downtime. But that is a good thing to keep in mind, is that keep your D-scan open, and if you see these Concord Assembly ships in your D-scan, start scanning those signatures. Another thing to keep in mind is these are low-sec areas, so they are quite dangerous. I think what's going to be a good ship to fly is probably 3 well-fit Tengus. This is going to allow you to fit kind of in a slippery sense to fly around low sec and find these sites and get to them. Once your team of 3 has landed in the site, again, only 3 people can actually get in the site. So once you are all 3 there, you are actually quite safe from people coming after you. At which point you can refit to be able to take care of these data banks, and then you can go to the combat room and refit to do the combat portion. Again, we have seen Lokis that are about 600 million-ish like explode, so I think a pretty well fit Tengu is in order. This is a quick little fit that I have come up with. It's basically my solo C3 wormhole fit that's slightly changed to kind of predict or consider what we're going to be coming up against. So we just have heavy assault missile launchers. We have a oversized shield booster with a shield boost amplifier. We have some shield hardeners for explosive and kinetic to bring those resist up. A cap battery in case they nude or if you need more cap. And then some missile guidance computers to help either your distance or your tracking, depending on what you need for those battleships and or frigates. And then just some extra damage in the lows. But the total estimated is about 600 or 870, which I think is probably going to be enough value to take these sites if we have 3 well-fit Tengus as well as decent pilots. It's not possible to solo these things. You do need at least 2 people, but I would highly recommend 3 people, so that way you can stuff the site and make sure that no one comes and tries to gank you or ruin your site or even steal your keys if that's possible. And that's all I got for you. It's kind of exciting, but also incredibly disappointing at this moment because it just doesn't work. And also, it's a whole lot of risk and hard, difficult site for maybe not enough of a reward. Again, the reward could end up being quite good, but because it has to pass through so many hands to actually get that final value of the 1.5 or 3.5 bill, we'll see how much this actually is worth. One last thing to note is that it is a level 2 data site, which is not a standard data site, so it is just another thing to keep track of. If you are kind of a new explorer and you don't know exactly what all the signatures do based on their name, it's just going to be another name to look out for. So, of course, if you like this, let me start that again. If you like this, make sure you give the channel a like, comment, and subscribe, and of course, ring that bell. And I have a question for you guys. Is this the worst update that they have ever done in terms of like it working? Because this is incredibly broken, incredibly frustrating. It has been for basically everyone trying to do these sites the entire day. And while we believe it will be fixed tomorrow, are we sure of that? Or do you have something that is a better example of when they fuck things up a little bit more? Let me know in the comments. And of course, if you guys want me to do any other videos like this on different topics, let me also know those in the comments. And we do stream EVE Online exploration-based content every weekday, starting sometime between 1100 and 1800 EVE time over at Twitch. And of course, the links are down in the description. Have a great day. It's been an honor and pleasure to get all of this information out to you ASAP. I hope this meets you well, so you don't have to waste your time learning this like I did all this morning. And fly dangerously. Good luck on those keys. Yeah.